My birthday is January 3rd. My mom's is January 1st. We're like on vacation.
This vivacious and prolific 80-year-old TikToker died days after her birthday last month from a COVID-19 related syndrome.
He's caught on an iceberg.
Deora Neely was a second-grade student in Jacksonville, Florida.
A perfectly healthy child, just going in for a normal, stomach ache and a negative COVID test, and then her fever wouldn't break.
Her father says Deora died right after showing signs of Multisystem Inflammatory Syndrome, or MISC, a serious but rare condition linked to an infection or exposure to the coronavirus, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Deora tested negative for coronavirus, but showed signs she had been exposed at some point. Dr. Solano, what are the symptoms of MISC, and how can parents tell if their child has the condition?
It has a fairly dramatic initial presentation. So there's usually a lot of what we call systemic compromise, respiratory, cardiovascular, liver, renal, central nervous system, more than one, so multiple organ system compromise, and who has evidence of exposure to the coronavirus, be either because he or she has positive PCR or antibodies.
Several hospitals across the nation are seeing a rise in MISC cases. It follows a post-holiday peak in infections. Though overall numbers for infections in children are still low, latest data from the American Academy of Pediatrics shows a 12% increase in child COVID-19 cases in the last 2 weeks.
The peak of the MISC usually lags behind the peak of the actual COVID disease, no? So that's another of the evidence that we have that it's probably an immune reaction or some sort of reaction of the immune system of children towards this infection, because it kind of tracks the peaks of COVID in adults, but it lags behind by a few weeks.
This smiling 19-month-old also struggled with the syndrome and ended up in the intensive care unit of the Rady Children's Hospital in California last month.
They're doing all these tests and he's just crying and not much I could do.
Fortunately, Santiago Don recovered, as do most children with the condition. But at least 26 deaths have been attributed to MISC since last spring, among more than 1,600 cases. Unlike COVID-19, in general, minority communities have been hardest hit, with more than 70% of cases involving Black or Latino children.
She wanted to, uplift people, and she brightened the room when she walked in. I mean, she's inspired so many people in such a short amount of time.